In this video, we are going to cover Tyler Sys 360 roster queries and data queries. And these are basically ways you can pull reports to see certain types of information on your students. And so just a quick intro, as we've said on other videos, this is a fake instance of Sys, a sample instance. So we are looking at fake data. And just know that some of the things, especially in this video, some of the buttons will not be the same as to what you have access to. You could have more or less access in your actual instance of Sys. Just the fact that I'm in a sample instance of Sys. Just know that going into it, but the process is all the same. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is I want to show you a data query. Then we're going to look at a roster query. So there is a difference. So a data query is essentially a blank slate of information you want to pull on students. Okay, so over here on the easiest way to get to this is if you have the left-hand navigation, you'll see data query here. Remember, you can always click on the three dots up here, and you can do a data query from here as well. You will see right here down at the bottom of tools, there is data query. So if you don't see it on your homepage, you can always get to data query there. But I'm going to go ahead and click data query here. And what's going to happen is it automatically kicks over to this tab called results. And this is where you're ultimately going to want to be. But where you actually need to start is you need to start in fields. This is really the most important one because this is where you actually build it. Now, this is where what you need to do is you're going to have to drag items over to this box called Show in Results. So you have to know kind of what you're looking for. You can either go through and you can click these drop downs, and now I will tell you there is a lot in here, and you will most likely see all of this, but some will be locked for you. But let's say I click on student, and then I want to click on demographics, and let's say I want, and notice this is all alphabetical order. I'm glad this popped up. If you do see a red circle, that essentially means you don't have access to that you don't have permissions to view that. So just know that's what that is. Maybe I'm going to do name, and I want the full name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this over here. Okay, so I have the full name. All right. Maybe the next thing is I want, and notice I'm still under student and demographics. I want birth date. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over until it appears in my list. Okay, and you can kind of just see I'm building this. And then perhaps I noticed when I was down here, I saw one that I saw IEP status. So maybe on this one, I'm really looking. I didn't get it to appear there. There we go. IEP status. I want to know their first name, their last name, their birth date, and whether or not they have an IEP. So now that I have my field set up, I'm just going to simply click on results. And you will see here that I have, and it's in the order. I want to make sure we understand that. If I come over to fields, this is the order it's going to give me the information. Okay. So name, date of birth, IEP status, and you can see here is one where I have a Y here for yes. So if I were to come here and I change these two fields and click results, you will see it will re-pull the report and it's changed the order. Okay, so I can go set those, and that pulls that. This is pulling any student that I have access to. So this is any student in any of my classes. So think of reasons. Perhaps this is something where one of the things you can do too, just so I can show you, we're gonna get rid of these, and to get rid of these, I'm just gonna drag over here anywhere to the left, and it gets rid of them. Maybe we're heading on a field trip, and I need emergency contacts. If I type in the word emergency, it's gonna it's going to find everything that has the word emergency in it, okay? Now, this is actually really helpful to build these fields is using the search because it can help you not have to go through all these drop downs. But notice here, the very first thing, it says my emergency contact 1, I don't have access to. That's because this is under the staff field. I don't have access to that, okay? So what you need to make sure is I can close that. Here's student. Now I'm in the student field here. And notice I do have this. So let's say I want emergency contact. I want the student's name. I want the emergency contact 1 name. And I want the emergency contact 1 cell phone. Maybe this is, again, we're building, we're going on a field trip and I want to make sure I have contact information. So I'm going to click results and here we are. I have my entire list and then anyone that has a phone number on file. So hopefully you can kind of see that process. And obviously there's more here. This is this is extremely full featured. I can come filter here. So this gets into, and this will be something where if you have a specific instance, we can work through those, but you can filter your results. You can definitely change how you want your sorts to be. So I can actually, do I want these in ascending, descending? Do I want it sorted by the emergency contact? You can do all those things. And then finally, the last one over to the right is, do I want to export this into an Excel file for easy printing? Those kinds of things, you can do that as well, okay? So another feature from this screen that I want to show you is down here, and this might look a little different when I click, and it does. One of the things that is helpful, because obviously, as you've probably noticed, building these data queries, it takes a little time. You can save your query to pull at any time you want. So if I click on the lower button down here where it says queries, you can click save as a new query. Now, mine is grayed out. It's acting like I don't have access to it. That's because I'm in this sample sys. You will have the ability to save as a new query. And what it will do is then you could name it. So you could name field trip emergency list. Then when you come into your queries, you will be able to actually load a query. You can actually view saved queries. You can actually load that without having to rebuild the thing every time. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm not able to completely show that whole process, but you can actually save them. So if you do build one, if you're building one for, you can have test scores appear in here. You can do those types. You can find a lot of stuff in here to do that with. So hopefully that makes sense. Going through, looking at preferences, obviously here, you can change just like we did in previous videos. You can change certain things. How do you want this when you click on it? Do you want it to display the fields tab or the results tab? Just very preferences. Again, how do you like it to look? We can use the maximize button again if we want to get rid of the top, if you just want to see more information. Here's our mass tools. Do I want to create a list? Do I want to create a student team in here? Do I want to mass email? So again, another video on mass email, but you can use those there. And then here's my export and my print buttons. So you can print these things out. You can export them again, just like we saw to an Excel. Really no different than going to this button here. That is a data query. That is all the students that you currently have access to. The next part of the data query feature in 360 that I'd like to show is actually called a roster query. And this is really helpful because it actually builds some of the data query for you. And so I'm going to show you how to do that now. So from the home screen of 360, next to any class on the 3 dots that exist under the Actions tab, if I click those 3 dots, I have an option to click on Roster Query. So I'm going to click that now. And it actually pulls up the data query screen that we're used to, except if you look, it already pulled the students that were from that class. So this is a really great way. If you know you need a query done for just that hour of students for whatever reason, you can click that. And if we click on our fields, you'll see that it pre-populated student name and student number. Now, just like we did with the data query before, you can go back through here and customize this however you like, but now you'll only have the students in that hour. So really the difference to remember is if you need all of the students you have access to, you're going to want to start a data query. However, if you just need the students from a certain hour, that's where that roster query comes in very handy. And again, that's under the three dots, and then it's called roster query.